questions that no one else has ever answered. Today I'm talking about the SpongeBob episode order. So episodes in SpongeBob uh are grouped together in number. So we got Help Wanted, for example, is episode 1A. And that makes sense. It's the first episode in the first group of episodes. So it's just the first episode in general. Now, what I want to know is why they air episodes out of order in overlap seasons. So I'm just gonna go to straight to season 1 to show you what I mean. Episodes out of order is more forgivable than overlapping seasons, but still. The first example of episodes order not being correct is in season 1 in September. Episode 8 aired on September 17th, 1999. Well, episode 9 aired 6 days earlier on September 11th, 1999, 2 years before disaster. And then, however, we went straight back to schedule. Except, no, we didn't. Because episode 12 aired on March 8th, 2000, where episode 11 aired on October 2nd, 1999, and episode 13 aired on October 28th, 1999. Episode 14 aired on December 31st, 1999, and episodes up to 16 aired before episode 12. Where the rest of the season aired in order, these two episodes, Hokey and Mermaid and Barnacle Boy 2, are where it gets tricky because this one aired in February 2001, this one aired in March 2001. And if we go to season 2, we at season 2, while still having the episodes out of order, actually overlapped with this, with episodes airing before these episodes had premiered, which means the seasons overlap. It gets confusing because if we go here, we can see the episode order, and episode 25 was in between both parts of episode 20, and this would be more forgivable if they didn't put multiple episodes in between them. However, they did this with season 2 as well. For example, Survival of the Edison Dumped are both episode 29, but they aired 2 months apart. Now, this isn't that big of a deal. But now we get to Shanghai and Gary Takes a Bath. They took a very long break. So Shanghai first aired in its original form on March 9th, 2001, and then in the next version the next day on March 10th. And its sister episode is Gary Takes a Bath, which first released anywhere on Earth in South Korea in November of 2001. But its first release in English was in Canada in December of 2001. My device is low on power. Sorry about that. It first released on some random channel in America on March 4th, 2002, and then on Nicktoons on June 17th, 2002. And then it still had a year where it was finally on Nickelodeon on July 2003, and had already been released on VHS and DVD before that. This is the longest break between two episodes airing on Nickelodeon in the history of the show. This doesn't mean there hasn't been long breaks before. Two sister episodes is what I mean. For example, I'm just going through random episodes. We got this episode, Who Are Zoo? It's episode 263, aired on February 8th, 2020, where its sister episode, Quarantine Trapped, aired on 263B, first aired in America on April 29th, 2022, over 2 years later. I'm stuttering. I'm sorry. However, this is basically it. I don't really have much more problems with the episode order. Then we have episodes being released early on DVD. And the perfect example of this is Season 4. Because Season 4 overlapped with Season 5 in terms of airing on TV only. The TV airings overlapped, but all the episodes of Season 4 were released on DVD by January of 2007, and Season 5 first premiered on February 19th, 2007. However, Season 5 does happen to overlap with Season 6 and 7 for on television for 7 only. But yeah, there's that. And then we got Atlantis Square Pantis, which creates another thing. I have to Atlantis Square Pantis. So Atlantis Square Pantis, um, is counts as one episode. It's episode 92 because it's special, but the episode is 40 minutes long, which is longer than it really has to be. But it counts as one episode. So if we're going with that, then we're going with that. Then we get to Truth or Square, which has nothing to do with it, but it sets out a precedent. Truth or Square counts as both episodes 123 and 124. Um, and it's the first time an episode was counted as more than one episode. But then we get to what was the episode called? I'm sorry. Then we get to SpongeBob's Big Birthday Blowout, which I have to go to the thing. We get to SpongeBob's Big Birthday Blowout, which counts as both episode 254 and 255. So how long do you think it is? It should be about as long as Truth or Square, right? No, it's 42 minutes long. It's only 2 minutes longer than Atlantis Square Panis, but yet it counts as two episodes as opposed to one. Same thing with Creepaway Camp, which I assume sucks more than SpongeBob. I haven't seen a lot of SpongeBob, but I assume this episode sucks. But this counts as two episodes, both 302 and 303. However, Atlantis Square Panis, they didn't change it. It still counts as only one episode. And I don't really know how that works. Now we get to the case of specials because which are episodes that don't count as part of an episode; they count as themselves. Which we already talked about the ones that count as two episodes. Now we're talking about the normal ones. They usually space these out, which is why when a lot of seasons overlap, it's specials. So Pest to the West from season 5 overlaps with season 6, as well as whatever happened to SpongeBob from season 5. And season 6 specials are Truth that overlap with season 7 are Truth or Square and the Clash of Triton, which is dandy. I don't know what that means. Um, However, season 7 only overlaps one episode with season 8 in broadcast order, but this episode had already been released before season 8 came out, so technically these seasons don't overlap. And then we get to Goo Goo Gas. So, Goo Goo Gas, I don't want to say the name of this episode because I hate it. I hate the name of this episode. But we got this episode. It was first released in the US officially in 2008 on like DVD and stuff, but it first aired on Nickelodeon on July 19th, 2009 during an event, the SpongeBob. So it's episode 91A. However, season 7 first aired episode was I Heart Dancing, which is 127B. So so these overlap in terms of television, but not in terms of anything else. The season with the most confusing episode order is season 12. Season 12 overlaps with season 11 with only one episode, so it's not that bad. But then we get to the rest of the season, episodes airing in a basically completely random order. As you can see, it overlaps with season 13, but only by a little bit, and any episodes from this one onwards that are in this color were already released on DVD. Which means, except for this one. This one was not released on DVD. it's one. It's literally the only episode in the first 14 seasons that has not been released on DVD. Um. Then we season 10 short because it's supposed to be like basically just more season 9, but it's better than season 9 from what I've heard. I haven't seen much of SpongeBob. I just the episode order just heavily confusing me. Um, and then another thing I like to say is the first episode of seasons. So season 1, the first episode is Help Wanted, and that was the episode that aired first. But season 2, the first episode is Your Shoes Untied, but that episode that episode aired eighth, and the first episode of the season aired with Something Smells. And then we get to season 3. The first episode of the season of the package order is The Algae's Always Greener. However, the first one aired was The Bully. And yeah, Season 4, it's the correct episode. But season 5, it's episodes 83 A and B, which is actually just the first half of the half hour, which aired and and the first episode, Friend or Foe, aired a little bit later. It's the fourth episode of season 5 aired. Now, okay, Fungus Among Us aired with an episode called The Big Switch. The Big Switch is paired with Goo Goo Gas. Fungus Among Us is paired with these two. Fungus Among Us started airing regularly. The Big Switch didn't air again until The SpongeBob's in 2009. It had been released on DVD after that, but it didn't officially air. It didn't air with Goo Goo Gas. It aired earlier that day. But I'm talking over myself. I'm having a thing. And then we get the Legends of Beginning of Autumn series from season 7, which was, I don't know the exact episodes, but they were all released on DVD in like December of 2010, and they aired on TV a little bit later in a different order. But this episode, The Curse of the Hex, which is part of that series, was put into season 8, even though it wasn't released. I've said this already, but it's the only way season 7 overlaps with season 8, which means that season 7 technically overlaps with 3 seasons on television, which is pretty insane. And then we got the vacation ones, which 160, 161, 159. That's not the correct order. I don't have to say this again. And then we got season 9, which was like 2 parts, I think. So the episode 188A, Connecticut Cat, aired on March 29th, 2014, whereas its sister episode, Yeti Crabs, aired exactly 1 year later. Well, not at the same time, not exactly 1 year later, but you get what I mean. And the second SpongeBob movie was released in between these. And even though they're sister episodes, they could have easily been released together. I don't know why they weren't. 189 SpongeBob You're Fired, which is after these in packaging order, is right. It's way before them. Also, some things I've read said packaging order is when the episode's finished. From what I can tell, it's probably not. But I don't know how that works. I can't speak on that. I'm looking for other stuff to talk about. I'm running out of things to rant about. Um, I've already said some episodes were released earlier in the United States, earlier in other countries than the United States. The best example of this is probably most of season 3, like all of season 3 that aired after 2002. And Gary takes a bath because that was delayed a lot. Um, they were all released in 2002 in Canada, late 2002 in Canada, but because they wanted to stretch this series out until the movie, Nickelodeon decided to stretch the season out, which is why there's big gaps in between the episodes. Season 4 was the first season where one of the main ways of episodes airing them separately rather than together, because Selling Out and Funny Pants are sister episodes, and they aired 7 days apart. And Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 6 and Enemy in Law are sister episodes, and then they are 7 days apart. And most episodes from now on follow this out, but not all of them. Not all of them. In fact, no season of the main series so far has had it so that none of the episodes aired on the same day, because all of them have had that. Season 15 has had that. um Obviously, the earlier seasons have had that. That's how it works. Um, there's definitely more. Okay, season 8 overlapping with season 9 is kind of a problem in a little bit of ways, because season 8 has one widescreen episode, which is the episode It's a SpongeBob Christmas. However, it overlapped with season 9 in these areas, and these episodes were not widescreen, whereas season 9 was widescreen, and some of these episodes were aired together or like in blocks together. Like you can see these aired on the same night. These two aired on the same night. These did not. These did. Okay. Um, having trouble yapping about stuff. That episode probably sucked. Oh yeah, a Nickelodeon events. So Squidmore, um, originally aired an event called. Let me find it. You bring the color. So the original version, it was basically normal, but like the last like minute or so had like color from like actual people who watched the show, and then it aired the next day, the normal version. What do you consider the release? This is the release. Oh, Shanghai, Shanghai. Um, Shanghai was aired in the U-ish special on March 9th, and then a different version that wasn't the U-ish special but was the normal episode aired the next day. This episode and then the episode was never aired on Nickelodeon again until Gary Takes a Bath aired all the way in 2003. However, it was aired on Nicktoons by when Gary Takes a Bath aired on Nicktoons. So it still took a while for this episode to be re-aired, but it's not as long as it could have been. Oh, episodes airing backwards is kind of weird one, but yeah, like the bully just one bite. That's backwards. Camping episode Krabby Land is backwards. Plankton's Arm's Missing Identity is backwards. A lot of things. Merman and Barnacle Boy. Six and Enemy in Law are backwards. And this happens a lot, and like sometimes it's multiple months backwards. Sometimes it's just like they aired back to back backwards. What's the best example? Season 12, definitely. Where is 240? No, that's not it. But Pineapple RB aired in July 2020. Whereas its sister episode, Krusty Slammer, aired in January 2019. So season 12, you got your stuff straight, I guess. Um, Also, the thumbnail for this video is from a completely different scrapped idea because I recorded it and I realized it was a bad idea, and then I recorded it again, and the working. The microphone was not working. The microphone wasn't working, and this one, if this microwave doesn't work on this one.